All right. Good morning. So I'm Shanika. Let me rename myself. So I'm Shanika Ward. I'm the current Atlanta chapter president, BDPA Atlanta. It's a quick bit on my background. Professionally, I'm a software engineer, and with BDPA Atlanta, I've been volunteering for a number of years now, and um, at least in terms of the STEM program, I usually just try to help out in the background. But I think just to kick it off, for some of our core volunteers, we'll just do like around the room, and then I can do like a more intro on like BDPA. For some of those that joined a little earlier, I was sharing my screen and had the BDPA conference for this year coming up, so I can talk about that more a little bit later too. So I think just to start with intros, William, would you mind doing a quick intro?
Was it because I was drinking coffee?
Well, it kind of happened. It's no coincidence, but
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm William Oliver. I am the sites coordinator for BDP Atlanta. Actually run a nonprofit organization called Steam Sports Inc. And we do everything related to science, technology, engineers, arts, and math. And that's robotics, underwater robotics, computer-aided design, and then the drone soccer. Basically my life's goal, life's work is to introduce science and technology to students. And so I'll also be your game development and esports coach this year. So we host the esports program, and we also have the Atlanta team in our esports tournament. So we'll be kind of guiding you guys in that way. But we're gonna have fun. We're gonna learn how to build out these games. We're gonna publish them. We're gonna get paid and have fun at the same time. So, all right, that's it.
thanks, William. I'll pass it to yeah, Miss Turner.
Yes, hello everyone. Hello. My name is Tanya Turner. I've been with the IT Showcase. I want to think maybe this is my third year with IT Showcase. So working with students with their research program and them competing and just helping you develop the skills to properly research. So yeah, so I'm excited to be here and thank you for having me.
Cool. Thanks, Tanya. I'll pass it to Jamie.
Good morning, all. My name's Jamie Cones. I am the Atlanta HSCC. I can't speak this morning. HSCC coordinator. Uh, what is this? My fifth year, and I am also a full-time software engineer. So just trying to share what I've gained along the way with you young peoples.
Thanks, Jamie. I'll pass it to Notorious.
Hey y'all, my name is Notorious Scott. You may hear Noto. I am an instructor. I assist with Jamie. I've been volunteering for about 10 years now, full stack developer, and looking forward to working with everyone.
Cool. And then I'll pass it to Victor.
Good morning, happy people. My name is Victor Montgomery, former software engineer in another life, but technology leader, cybersecurity leader. Now I've been with BDPA Atlanta since 2014, former past president of the Atlanta chapter. Now I just get in where I fit in and do what I can do to continue to support the organization.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Yeah. So that was a quick intro from some of our volunteers. We definitely have a lot of folks that have, volunteered their time to, be here. So we definitely appreciate all of you being here every week. So I don't have the schedule with me, but let me share my screen. Actually, probably can pull up the schedule a little bit later, but let me share my screen. Just probably do like a quick intro related to like BDPA, kind of kick things off. So that was some of the music I was playing. So yeah, so conference that I was kind of showing earlier. So this year the conference is in Indiana, so Indianapolis. The last maybe 5 or so years, it's been here in Atlanta. So we're really excited that it's not in Atlanta this year, and we're hoping that, for all you all here today, that you'll, stay in tune with us, stay committed, and and learn so that we can take you along with us to the conference this year. So being able to go out of state is definitely fun. A lot of conferences that I've been to so far in my career, fortunately, have been paid for by someone else in some capacity. So that's always great when someone else is paying for it. So um, so yeah, if there's any other questions about the conference, feel free to reach out. But essentially, we'll pay your way for the conference. We'll essentially just need permission from your parents and things like that. But keep this in mind. It's coming up in July of this year, and for those that maybe aren't too familiar, but essentially at the conference, so uh, for the student programming, there's essentially like the competition piece of it. So some of the, or a good portion of the learnings that you're doing here now is kind of to prepare you for competition. So you're either going to be having research papers and posters evaluated or actual like web applications evaluated. And there's other pieces too, like as William was mentioning earlier, esports, there's been data in the past, there's been robotics, and there's other things that on the national level that they offer as well. But for student programming, the conference is like the culmination of that. And then also there is just other just general learning. So if you're not necessarily competing, there's still ways to have enrichment at the conference. So just highlighting that. Um, so one of the, I don't know if I necessarily need to present all of this, but some of the just I guess numbers. So definitely we're using some slides from a couple years ago. But so I forget if this was like the Atlanta chapter was founded in 1986 or that was just HSCC. But BDPA definitely goes back. Last year conference celebrated, I believe, like the 50th year of the conference, so it goes back. And again, like I was kind of saying, at the conference, the competitions, there's opportunities to win awards, essentially scholarships to kind of help, pay for college or potentially internships every year. Some of the major companies that have been a part of BDPA, just on the national level, have offered opportunities to students. So just being involved and staying connected is a way to just kind of help with things as you're considering what to do I guess post secondary education, so after high school essentially. Um, mm, 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 just out the way. And so we did intros. So BDPA's motto, for those that might be new, from the classroom to the boardroom. So essentially, right now, everything that you're learning, how can we support you as you aspire to, I guess, chart out your career and things beyond, I guess what they call now like an individual contributor. Like, how can we probably push you to be like leaders in your area? Um, that's one of our main things, and I think that was essentially it. So yeah, with that, I think I'll stop sharing again. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Let me try to pull up the schedule. One second. I have it in another window.
Can I share a little bit more about the conference, Shanika?
Oh yes, please go ahead.
And so for those, because I know it's being recorded and we'll be able to share with folks that weren't able to make it today. In the past, 5 years, as Shanika mentioned, the conference has been held in Atlanta. So there was no true travel for those that reside in Atlanta. So you were able to come to the conference. Sometimes parents would just drop the kids off at the hotel for the days that we were there. They stayed overnight, but there was no expectation that parents had to stay as well. And that was okay because they were still in the same city. Because we're going to Indianapolis, there's the potential that parents may also want to join. Of course, we will cover the expenses associated with the students participating. However, if parents want to stay at the hotel and or participate in the conference, parents will be responsible for covering their own fees associated with that. So I just wanted to call that out, knowing that the last few years we're in Atlanta and most of our participants were in Atlanta as well.
Yep, that's a good early
Any
call out for Victor.
questions? Yeah, any questions around the conference piece? Awesome. Cool.
Cool. Thanks, Victor. So let me just share my screen one last time. So this is the schedule for most part. If something changes with the dates, we'll try to communicate that out. So today is the 14th, and so typically we'll try to do 3 to 4-ish Saturdays in a row, and then we'll take a break, and we'll also try to coincide the breaks with holidays or like spring break. I know there's probably folks from various counties. I don't know if all counties have spring break at the same time, but I think when I was looking at Gwinnett County and Fulton County, it's I think the week after the 5th, April 5th. But yeah, so this is the schedule. It's also, I believe, on like the HSCC like program site that we have for the Atlanta chapter. But we'll definitely try to share this out to you and your parents or guardians. And yeah, we'll essentially go up until the conference. So that's in July. Any questions around that? And yeah, you could feel free to drop something in the chat too. All right. So with that, I think we can try to open up the breakout rooms. So this will be like our first time for the season. So I'll look at the registration list that I have, and then I'll try to split out as best from there. But if there's any questions on anything, feel free to drop it in the chat, or if you're in the wrong room, just like let us know and we'll update it. So let me see. Think I'll try to start with maybe IT Showcase first. Let's see if anyone's online with that group. Let's see.
It might be helpful if you just call on the students that are here and then let them have you.
Yeah, that might be quicker. Thanks, William. So are all the classes virtual? So for the most part, we'll be online. But also this is where you can give us some feedback too. Like we would like to do some in-person sessions, like whether at the John Hope Community Center, like downtown Atlanta, or we potentially could see if we could do at the Park Center in Dunwoody State Farm. So this is where we would need some feedback from you all on like interest in that, because we definitely want to. Probably back in 2019 and prior to 2019 for sure, we were meeting in person. So part of the
And
reason why we've been virtual is to help with accessibility. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was going to throw in there also. I know we have students that aren't in Atlanta, that aren't located in Atlanta. So, we definitely want to continue to figure out a way to have you virtually engaged. But, we also understand that getting together and networking and you all getting to know each other is as big a part of the program as the coding and the gaming and the research work.
Yeah, that's great. So just if anything, dropping some of the names that I see in the list I have. So these are the IT Showcase names that I have. I don't see anyone online today. But yeah, feel free to speak up if you are in IT Showcase, and then we'll open up the breakout room. If not, then we'll move on. So what's about esports? Anyone here for esports this morning?
I
Would
think
there
I
be? Oh,
think
go
we
ahead.
have a few students on, Shanika. Since there's only a few, can we have them introduce themselves? And then they could mention in their introduction what track they're
That's
interested
fair
in
too.
or they signed up for.
All right. All right. Well, so then Anthony Bailey Jr. is the first name I see. Please go ahead, Anthony.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Bailey Jr. I attend Normal West High School in Normal, Illinois. I'm a freshman, and I'm here today because I want to expand my knowledge about coding.
Nice. Welcome, Anthony. All right. So next student I believe I see is Marley.
Hello, my name is Marley. I attend Booker T. Washington High School. The reason why I'm here today is because I'm interested in your web design program.
Well, thanks. And I believe Destiny is representing her son. Well, I guess you want to do a quick intro, Destiny, for on your son's behalf.
Yes, hi. Hi, everybody. My name is Destiny, and yes, my son is currently at a track meet, but his name is Cody. He is in eighth grade at Druid Hills Middle School, and he is interested in web development, coding, and the esports development as well.
Cool. Thanks, Destiny. I believe next I see is Samson.
Hi guys, my name is Samson and I'm interested in the web development program.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks. All right. I see another Anthony. Well, we can move on. All right. I see Jonas.
My apologies. I'm Anthony Bailey Sr.
Oh,
Just
okay.
wanted to join today's meeting just to uh, get a refresher on BDPA, but have some familiarity with the Illinois chapter, but want to kind of make sure I understand what the Atlanta chapter is doing and just here to support.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we definitely need support from the parents. Cool. All right. Jonas. Well, Jonas, I think is one of the student slash instructors, right, William? That we met last
Oh
week.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Yeah, and Jonas, you're on mute. I don't know if you know that, but okay.
But from what I remember last week from Jonas, I believe they have recently graduated
Hmm.
and they have a background like self-taught
Yeah.
uh, like web development skills. So thanks, Jonas. Thanks for joining us again. And so the last name I see is Colin Bowens. Well, either way, Caitlin or Colin is interested in esports. So, all right. So I still don't, so I didn't see any other IT showcase students show up, but I think most everyone else is web dev. And then maybe Kaylin is maybe only esports for today. So I think I can add you to the room, William, with Kaylin. that works. And then I think everyone else can hang out here. Cool. Mic isn't working. Yeah, feel free to drop stuff in chat. Or if you need to like rejoin, then that might help. So let us know. All right, I'll open up that room. What were the other program listed? So essentially what we'll be doing here on Saturdays is the web dev, web dev, IT showcase, and esports. So at least for this session, so you'll join, so we'll open it up around 10 a.m. Eastern and be here till noon. I realized I didn't say that earlier. We'll be here till noon. And it's essentially, yeah, we'll meet. I forget what I was going to say, but yeah, web dev, IT showcase, and esports will be here. And for the other programs that that nationals may be offering, back I think there's a data science program that was open maybe a month or two ago. I'm not sure if that's still in progress. And then typically there's robotics. I haven't heard much about robotics for this year, but that's on different sessions. What's the difference between IT showcase and web development? So web development is essentially kind of your introduction to programming. So getting introduced to programming constructs and actually building web applications. And now with everything with Gen AI, like figuring out how to actually incorporate the usage of Gen AI with your software development. And then IT Showcase is essentially research. So if you happen to pursue kind of like, I guess like sciences in college, like academia, a lot of your faculty and instructors are also doing research. Like they have various topics. Like they're so I think if you also think about probably back in school when you're getting introduced to like, I don't know what that's called. I don't know, the science process or research process. I don't know, where you're like having a hypothesis, or no, that's science, hypothesis, hypothesis, and you're like, okay, this is a problem that I see. This is maybe some of the other approaches to solving this problem that people have taken. This is my maybe approach to solving this problem. This is why I think it makes sense and why it's valuable and why it's important. That is one, I think, area of research. There's also a lot of research that is also kind of like culminating what's out there and just like adding more, bringing more awareness to what it is, kind of thing. But yeah, that's essentially IT Showcase. Like you'll spend time thinking through problems that you think might be important to solve, and then coming up with solutions to those problems. But it doesn't necessarily mean web development, but sometimes in research, developing an application and doing some programming is maybe the way that you're solving the problem. So let me know if that makes sense. Any other questions? All right. There are no other questions. I'll keep monitoring as people come into the session. If any other students show up, is there any overlap between both programs? Could you maybe further define what you mean by overlap? So I think the overlap, like I'm saying, could be like, so since research is kind of a bit of a broad topic, it's the only overlap I could see is that if there is web development and a web development aspect to the problem that you're exploring, then maybe that's the crossover. Is there an opportunity to pursue both? Okay, that's helpful. I kind of feel so. Like I think like so at least in terms of the competition, you wouldn't be able to compete in both. But I think for the instruction and working with the instructors, so Jamie and Tanya, Mrs. Turner, then yeah, there's definitely opportunity to do both if you're willing and you have the capacity to do it. But at least in terms of competing, excuse me, in the conference, you wouldn't be able to do both. But if you're interested in both, I encourage you to, kind of voice that, and then we can definitely connect you with, you know, Jamie and Tanya, Mrs. Turner. Is that helpful? Nice. Cool. All right. So yeah, I'll keep monitoring to see if more folks hop in. Otherwise, I think I can hand it over to Jamie to kick us off for the web dev.
Thank you, Shanika. Good morning, all. So welcome to the HSCC, which stands for, I keep saying HSCC because I've been saying it for so long, but HSCC is High School Coding Competition. Uh, is it 30 years? I think it's 30 years this year that the competition has been going on, um, which I only learned this Tuesday in the coordinators meeting. But it's a long running competition for high school and also middle school in this case students. Yeah, 1986. Wow. For high school and middle school students to compete in computer programming projects. Um, we have, or I have participated with the team for the last 5 years. 2020, right at the start of the pandemic, where when we were virtual all the way through last year's team, where we had a whole team of graduating seniors. So we unfortunately don't have the benefit of having experienced competitors in this year's team, but it's also a fresh start. We're going to be going new directions with it, uh, including the use of artificial intelligence and coding agents to help us complete our work. So the idea here is that we'll be doing coding projects with AIs and learning from how the AIs complete the code in order to learn the essentials. So if you haven't heard the term vibe coding before, vibe coding is the production of computer code or applications without any intervention from the human. The human operator in this case enters a prompt into a generative AI describing what kind of application they want to produce and allows the AI to completely produce that. Now, vibe coding can get fast results, but it doesn't always produce good results. And so, what we want to do is use vibe coding to start and then learn from what the computer codes for us to figure out how then to code for ourselves, or even better yet, how to prompt the AIs in a better way and then check the AI's code. Um, in the real world scenario or in real world situations, more and more software engineers like myself and Shanika and Notorious. I'm looking at who's in the room. Full-time working software engineers rely more and more on this similar process. I am less of a coder anymore than I am a software engineer with AI. And there's lots of advantages to that, and it seems to be the way that the industry is going. So we want to prepare you to be able to move into the field of computer programming with all of the modern tools. Um, so this session in particular is going to get everybody oriented in how we're going to be doing work this season. Yeah, every day. I can't even tell you again in my full-time job that I'm supposed to be writing code every day. Um, I actually have a little tool on my AI that tells me how much of the code is written by the AI and how much I've written. And in general, I'm about 70 to 75% AI written code right now. But knowing what it's doing and when it's doing things right or wrong is super important. So we need some tools to do this. And to get us started, I need to share my screen. Here we go. So the first tool we have is our class website. The URL is class.hscc-atlanta.com as I struggle to find their group chat. If you haven't already registered here, you'll want to go to, well, if you just go to the class.hscc-atlanta.com, there'll be a sign up link in the top right corner. You'll want to sign up there. Um, Once you do, you'll find these pages within it. Now, the site is organized as if it were a miniature library. And so the different sections are called books. The first book is our program information, and there's a few pages in here that are important for y'all. The first one is a contact form. If you need to contact the instructors for any reason, you can actually use this form, and it'll come through to all of us so that someone can get back to you uh, in a timely manner. Um, so you don't have to remember which email address or whom you should email. You can just send it in this form, and we'll get it and then be able to get back to you. The second, oops, I went back too far, is our session schedule. So this is the planned session schedule up until conference in July. We are starting a little bit later than normal, so we're going to be moving pretty rapidly. It is very important that you attend as many sessions as possible, and if you do have to miss a session, first of all, communicate that to the instructors, and second, there will be in another book on this site, the lessons for each session, and you should go back and review that and make sure that you are up to speed and caught up. So now, let's see, back button. And then the final one is some information on GitHub education. For now, the other tool or one of the other tools that you'll need to sign up for is a GitHub education account. Unfortunately, AI is everywhere right now, but also sometimes hard to access if you don't have certain resources. And so trying to find an AI that we can use for class that doesn't cost anything, uh, basically, and also doesn't have age restrictions. Unfortunately, if you have a Google account, you might be able to access Google's Gemini AI. However, if you read the fine print, you're not supposed to access it unless you are 18 years or older. Um, so GitHub Education is available to students ages 13 and up, but you do need to have proof that you are an enrolled student in school somewhere. So the first step is to actually sign up for a GitHub account. So if you go to github.com /sign up, you can sign up here if you don't already have one. If you have an account, that's awesome. You can skip this step, but we will actually need GitHub accounts for our work later, especially as we get towards the competition. We store all of our code as a team in GitHub, so you'll need the account to access that in general. Once you've signed up for that, the link to the GitHub education application is here. Again, you have to sign up first. I think I can So you would come to this page once you're signed in and start an application. Um, Under the Learn More, where is it? Students. There we go. And we come back right here. Um, in the process, it'll tell you what paperwork you need to show that you're a student. Usually it's just a copy of your student ID or something like that. And of course, in the process of signing up for that, if you run into any issues, use the contact form and let us know. So this is our class information book. if we have additional links or information to add in general to the class, they'll be going into that book. A couple other books in here. The first one is Coding with AI. This is the actual course for this year, 2026. Repeat of the schedule. I knew I copied that somewhere. Um, some information about, again, the GitHub Education account. You will need a computer and internet access because most of our sessions will be online through Zoom virtually. That also is because our coding tools are online in the web browser. So you won't need any special software to do it, just a web browser. If you have a Chromebook issued by your school, it definitely runs in that. It runs on pretty much anything that has a web browser. I've even used my phone for it. So as long as you can attach an external monitor or something to it. And again, session attendance, really important, especially given the speed at which we'll be going through things. Information for the competition section, when we start to get that together, we'll go in here. There'll be things relating to the application you'll have to build that will go into this book. And finally, because our class system uses the Linux operating system, I'll include information about how to navigate and operate in Linux here. We're actually going to cover some of that in our first steps here. But that's just informational. So that's the class site. We covered the class site, touched on, I should say, the GitHub education. Um, Next step is our actual coding tools. And I have to open something on the side here. Okay, so let's see. Jonas got uh Anthony Bailey Jr., sir. I'm gonna send you some login information. You'll need it here in just a moment.
Jamie, do you also see what email I used to sign up on the HSC this class.hscc website?
I can.
It doesn't say me. Maybe it's like one of the other accounts, like the other Gmail accounts, like Atlanta BDP or something.
I don't actually see you by name here. Oh, I do see BDP Atlanta. So Atlanta at bdpa.org.
Okay, maybe I'll try that. Thanks.
Okay, so students, we've got Anthony Bailey Jr. Marley, can you message me with your last name and email address? And then Samson, I need your email address as well. I don't see Samson. Maybe they left.
Yeah, maybe they just dropped their
Okay.
maybe they'll rejoin, but yeah.
Yeah, if anyone sees Samson rejoin, uh, let me know.
Sure.
So I think I've got everybody logins now that we have in attendance. So the next step, the next tool is our coding system. It's called Coder. It's not the best name, but that's what it's called. And the access URL for it is in the Coding with AI book. It's right at the top here. It's code.hscc-atlanta.com. If you open that, it's going to redirect to this gobbledygook address. Unfortunately, there's no way to get around that. So the login credentials I just sent you, oh, sorry, email address and password. Sorry, I thought it was by username. But the email address that you either just told me or that you registered with, um, and let me, uh, Anthony, I just messaged you because I think I have your father's address as the login. So your email address and the password I've just sent you today um, will get you logged in here. Um, I didn't have uh, GitHub logins for everybody, so um, that's why we're using user email and password. So you'll enter your email and password here. I have to go this route, and I have to hide it so you don't see my email or my login. Okay. Once logged in, you should see something like this. And go ahead and try that now. If you have any issues logging in there, please let me know. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this into the group chat. While you're all doing that, I'll go ahead and jump into the Coding with AI book. This is our coursework. This will be kind of the main book that we use from the website. Schedule requirements. The syllabus is a little bit off. It's a moving target at this point. We're changing a lot of things as we go along. But where we are today is the introduction to our online tools. We've covered the class website, and then this is where we are now with our workspaces and logging in. Um, so Coder allows us to have virtual workspaces online through the web browser to perform things like uh, building websites in their entirety, building little mini games, and eventually, as we get towards the competition section, we will collaboratively be working together on a single application to compete in the national HSCC competition. Um, the application works by building for each person their own little workspace. And even though we have three different workspaces here, the one that we'll be starting with for students at least is this student web server one. Um, just quick check in chat. Did anybody have problems getting logged in? Okay. So this is where instructors.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse, I had a problem getting in.
Okay.
Uh, should I use my personal email for the uh, GitHub or
I
Coder? I
think
mean,
what I think what I used was your father's email, and so you should use the one I just messaged you.
uh, can you message it again?
That one. Let's see. Marley's in. Shanika's in. No, what's it saying? Oh, you know what? I wonder if email address. I used your Gmail. Yep, I see Noto in. Anthony, you still having issues?
Yes, I'm sending you a direct message right
Okay.
now.
Gotcha. And now once you're logged in, you can actually go and update your own password. It would be under account and security. Shoot, hard for me to demonstrate the student sign-ons when I'm logged in. Under security, you should have a way to update your password here by entering your current password and then the new password twice. Again, because I have to sign in through my GitHub account for the admin privileges here. I don't have that, but everyone else should. All right, Anthony, I see you in. Um, and if later you want, unfortunately, just the way the system is built, I can't even update your email address, which seems ridiculous. I don't, you might be able to do it yourself. Let me see, was that a, no, it's kind of locked to that, unfortunately. So if you want, we can create a new account for you with your own email address if you want to send that to me later. For now, let's just go ahead and continue here. We're not going to do anything today that uh, really needs to be saved to your account, but I will explain that when you are working in workspaces in our coder system, and that's what they're called, workspaces, everything you work on there will be saved to the server. Um, and so even if you log out or you can delete a workspace, if you delete your workspace, your work is still saved. Don't worry. We also have ways of backing everything up. So every time you start your workspace, we take a little backup snapshot. So if you, for some reason, uh, erase all of your code, we can get it back. Don't worry, just contact us. Um, we're going to go ahead and move forward with creating a workspace. Now, at this point, the instructors and students are just a little bit different. Students should select, and we're going to create a new workspace. It can be done from this drop down up here, or if you don't have any already, it'll show you this. We're going to create a new workspace. Students should start the student web server type, and instructors the instructor type. I'm going to go ahead and walk through the student web server type just so that we're showing the student version. Instructors, where did my, there it is. Um, the instructors will need to enter, instead of a project name, a password. That password is on the class website. Um, under program information for instructors. It's right there in the header. Um, Students, you don't need to worry about a password. So this is the form when starting a new student web server workspace. The first thing you have to enter is a name, and the name doesn't really matter all that much. They will offer a suggestion. You can click on it to take their suggestion. If you didn't like that one, they'll offer a new one. Um, I will tell you that we're going to be doing an intro, so you could call it like intro or anything like that. I like dinosaurs, so I'm going to take that one. Um, but you can give your workspace a name. The only important factor here is that eventually you'll have more than one workspace, and you want to remember which one is which. So I guess I'm probably being bad, and I should say I'm going to call mine intro dash project. And then down here in parameters, we're going to do introduction to AI. Once you've filled both of those in, create workspace will become clickable, and go ahead and click that. This next screen is going to scroll a whole bunch of log information. You can kind of see it going by here. None of this matters until the screen refreshes. And especially since if we're all trying to do this at once, things might slow down just a little bit. Hopefully not too slow. Yes, it is Pi Day. And yesterday was Friday the 13th. And I thought I had already built the container. Let's hope I didn't just mess things up. Oh, sorry, I forgot Cody was under a different email. I will email your coder login information. Yep, Cody, I'll email you at that address. So it normally shouldn't take this long. Unfortunately, in my prep last night, I think I skipped a step. Um, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes here. Oh, going much faster now. So what the system does is it actually builds a mini server on the main server for every workspace. And what this information that took a minute and 50 seconds is saying is that it was creating that server image, which is built in a system called Docker. Here we go. Once it changes and you get the space with the blue border is still building, and you'll see the output here. And it's just giving information about what it's doing behind the scenes while it gets the workspace ready. Now, this information is covered in the introduction to our online learning tools within the Coding with AI book. So we can see here we've gone through creating a new workspace, filling things out, the scrolling, and then this screen, which we're hoping, here we go. Once the border here turns green, your workspace is ready to go. Now, if something happens here and it doesn't turn green, we might ask you to copy and paste this information. But for now, let me get the workspaces view here. Come on. All right. I see Marley's workspace running. See Noto's starting. Shanika's starting. Um, Everybody's just been up and quick check some info in the background here.
Oh, excuse me.
Yep.
Uh, Mine says workspace agents have disconnected, and it says your workspace is running, but the agent has not connected yet. Do you know what that
Okay.
means?
Yep. Shanika named hers Intro to AI Pi Day. There we go. So is the message still showing on my side? I don't see the message anymore. Sometimes it. Oh, okay. I see it's stopping.
I tried
When that
to
happens,
stop it and start it to see if that would work.
That's fine. No. So one of the other kind of advantages to this system is that you can stop and restart without damaging anything. And so that was actually the right move. I see yours running without the error now.
Yep.
Okay. So now that we're up, and again, I'm going to go back here to the session documentation. These three buttons are what we want to pay attention to next once we've turned green here. Um, so the first one that I want to talk about is this project output. If you click that, and I'm so used to, if you just click it, it's going to open it up in a window here, but you see how there's no actual tab? Um, I don't like that. I like my things in tabs. So you can open it just like this, and you can make it full screen if you wanted to. But if you right click and open a new tab, or you can also hold control while you click, or at least in Chrome, most other browsers will follow that. It'll open up in a new tab here, so you can come back to this. You can see here this just says welcome, and we'll understand what this means in just a moment. The next most important. Oh, okay. Instructors, the password is in program information for instructors. It's a different password, and it's up at the top of that book. Workspaces again. Note, are you having issues? I see a fail message. Let me know. So the next button in relative importance is this button. And I'll say you see the icon is the same. This is the VS Code icon here. The difference being, oh, yeah, the other thing I was going to mention is I will go ahead and add a book to the HSCC class site for recordings. Also, are we recording? I totally forget that every time.
we are, we are.
Okay.
Oh, we should
Yes,
be.
so I'll add those. Okay, no, it looks like it's starting. Oh, no, go ahead or I'm going to click retry for you. It looked like that's my fault. I didn't build the images last night, so I think it was building a duplicate one. It should move quite much or quite a bit faster. Oh, yeah. No, I did build it last night, so what's going on? Um, so students, yeah, I will put recordings here. Noto, let me get through this next button and then we'll bounce back to that because I don't know why you should be using the same Docker image as Shanika and I, and I'm not sure why your system is. Um, Actually, the only recourse is really if you back out and go ahead and delete the workspace. If you're on your workspace's screen, you do this and delete, and then you just have to copy the workspace name into this and delete it, and then try it again. I think what happened is your system was trying to build the image that's already built, and I don't know why. Um, So we go back here. Code or VS Code is what's called an IDE. It's an integrated development environment. That's where you work on all of your coding projects. It has things like extensions and plugins that help you visualize the code better and correct the code. It's also where you'll use AI to interact with the code. There are two versions. The desktop version we're going to ignore for now, but that would be if you had VS Code installed on your computer like I do here. This is application running on my desktop. This version is running in your browser. So like the other one, I'm going to open it in a new tab and then I'm going to select that tab. It takes a little bit because it's a big JavaScript version of the application. So right now you can see it's spinning, it's loading. That's because it's downloading the VS Code application entirely in your browser. When it opens, and again, I'm running the student's web space or workspace, so it should all be exactly the same. It's going to ask you if you trust the authors of the files in this folder, and the answer to that is always yes. And you can go ahead and click trust the authors of all files in the parent folder projects. All of your project work is going to go into this folder called projects, and you can always trust that. So if you click that, we've got a couple things going on here, and I'm going to refer back to uh, and this is where we did everything, and here we've launched our code server. So this is trust. So we've got three different sections here. Um, close this the other way. So again, this far right is where you would chat and interact with your AI. This entire space over here is where you're typically going to find your AI interactions. Because it's part of VS Code, that's why it's open currently, even though we don't have any AI chats installed. And we're going to go from right to left here. So the middle section in green in the lesson shows what we see here. It's our getting started pages, walkthrough, which looks like it might have, yeah, changed just a little bit. VS Code gets updates all the time. And so it can change week to week even. Um, but we can see here it's getting started. And the first thing it wants to ask us is what color theme do you want? Now mine, because it's already attached to my instructor account, I've already set mine. Yours by default should be uh, a light theme. And so you can actually do that from right here. You can browse your color themes. And I've selected default dark, but you can do Visual Studio Light. The solarized one if you want to take some eye strain off. Ooh, I like that. That's high contrast, but super. Whoa, what's the burned out there? I do dark mode on my devices, so that's why I select that. But you can select whatever theme you want. Um, I think really on the walkthrough, that's all they really have for now. And once you're done with that, one thing to note is that these will be the center panel at least will be arranged in tabs. So you can see this is a tab open. Um, and and part of navigating VS Code is to know that you can close a tab. Um, so from the green space here, which is our code editor tabs, we have the blue space over here, which is our Explorer. The Explorer will show you the current files in your project directory. So we can see here we've already been set up with the Intro to AI directory. This indicates a kind of the base directory. and we've got 4 files in there. We have a README file, and you can see when I click on something in the Explorer, it opens over here. Now, here's an important detail about VS Code, is in the tab, if the tab name is in italics, it's kind of opened temporarily. If you click on index, it's going to replace the temporarily opened file in that tab. If you want that tab to stay open, you can double click on the tab or in the file name to the tab. And now that it's no longer italicized, if I go back and open up README, it opens it up again temporarily in a new tab. Double click that and it's going to stay open. Or I can close it and double click here and it'll unitalicized, meaning that it's going to stay open now. So now we have 2 tabs in the editor or area of the VS Code. And we only have the 4 files in here right now, so that's fine. You can see that there's also ways to create a new file. I create a test file and just say hello. And now that has been added to my Intro to AI directory. Um, Again, everything you do in your projects gets saved to your project space as a student. So even if you delete your workspace, that'll all be saved in your student account. We can always fetch that later. Um, and also something to note about the editor window, I created a new file and I added text to it. I can go ahead and I'm just gonna say end. It's gonna auto save. So now if I close this, if I open it up again, what I was working on is saved there. So those are our Explorer and then how that works in conjunction with our editor tabs. I keep clicking on this one. So that's the blue section. Purple is going to be the far left sidebar navigation. And so this will give you, first of all, your main menu with things like file. You can create new files, open folders, save files. A lot of different things you can do in there. Access your preferences and settings, which we're not going to dive too deeply into right now. Edit menu is edit in relation to your editor window, right? Copy, paste, that kind of thing. Selection. The only thing that we'd really need to worry about much at all today is the terminal. And we'll cover that in just a moment, but I want to go through the rest of the menus. This opens up the Explorer view or toggles it on and off. If you're looking for something, search. Oops, let me do something that's actually found. There we go. So I searched for the word welcome and it was found in index.html. We're not going to worry about this, but this is source control. When we get into the competition stages, we'll need to invoke our source control to work on a project together. Run and debug, also not going to worry about that right now. The project output window for this and the next project is all you need to do to run and debug. Down here are some extensions. You can install extensions into VS Code, or it's called Code Server here. But you can install extensions here. We've already got the GitHub Copilot chat installed for when you all get your student or your education accounts opened. There are other extensions that you might find useful. When we come to it, we might install some others. Also, they can be automatically installed, so don't be surprised if we talk about an extension and then the next time you open your workspace, it's already installed. The only other thing here, if you wanted to go back and change your color theme, it's all the way down here at the bottom. Some of the other settings here are more advanced for VS Code and not really important at this point. For the most part, you're going to use this view that you see right here with your Explorer window open and some editor tabs. And then again with the AI, the chat window over here. You can close the different panels up here. So you can see the little white bar on the right indicates that the chat window is open. If I click that, it hides it. Same as the other one and our bottom panel. So I mentioned that terminal thing. I close this. We will be using a terminal from time to time in our workspaces. You can go to terminal, new terminal. Also note that it's Control Shift C. Click that and it will open this bottom panel with the terminal. Get back to the So we covered the panels, file, themes. Okay, terminal. And again, refer to the introduction page in the Coding with AI book for all of this information. Close this because I keep forgetting which is which. So we opened up a new terminal. And again, you can do it by shortcut, the terminal window here. Most of the time when you click this, it's going to open up the terminal by default. Note that there are some other tabs here. Sometimes one of those will be open. You just have to click the terminal one. And then also note that you can create multiple terminals. So it looks like I've actually got two open. If I click this, it'll create a new instance. So if you're doing commands over here and you want to do something different, you can open a new one. No big deal. This terminal is a command line terminal. This is kind of some higher level computer stuff. These workspaces work in Linux. They are actually a Linux server running in the cloud. The description of our prompt is shown here, but that's what this part is actually called. And I'm gonna click don't show that. That gets in the way a lot of times. So this part that's always shown, and if I just hit enter, no command, it creates a new prompt. Is that's what it's called. It's called the prompt. And our prompts show some information. The first one is your username. Then the at symbol, meaning that the username at and your workspace name, intro-project. Remember when we spun up our workspaces or created our workspaces, we gave it a name. Your project name should be this. Excuse me. And there's a colon saying that that's the end of the user and server information. This next bit is going to show you what directory you're actually in. So if you imagine, of course, my machine is so slow. Trying to find a Windows directory. So Windows and Mac, almost every computer system kind of has the same concept of files in different folders or directories. Folder and directory means the same thing that you navigate through. So in a visual GUI is what it's called. Let me. This is kind of the representation of it. So as you click through one, oh, that one's empty. Good example, Jamie. You have more folders and files. And so in a GUI, and GUI stands for Graphical User Interface, this is how you navigate it. And we can see the same thing here, even though we only have the one. I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder. I'm going to call it example one. And so this is very much like the Windows GUI. I can expand that, and if it asks you to allow, it's just for copy and pasting. That's what that little pop-up was. It might ask you that, and you go ahead and allow it because we might copy and paste some stuff. I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder inside of example one, call it folder two. So now, and because they're both empty, it's just going to collapse this. And also in our Explorer, this is kind of a use of creating new files and folders through the Explorer. I'm going to call this test file one. So now that's in example folder two test. Let's add a folder or a file here. Okay, so now it looks a little bit more what you might expect visually, right? We have folder example one, which has test file two, folder two, which has test file one. This is what it looks like visually. But down here, from time to time, you will need to navigate using just the command line. Just do a time check. Okay. And that's where our basic Linux commands come in. So the first one is PWD, which stands for Present Working Directory. This is going to tell you where you currently are, even though our prompt already does this for us. That's what this is about. So if I type PWD, it's going to show me that I'm in /home /Jamie Cones /projects /intro to AI. If you notice, our prompt shows almost the same thing, but it uses this character, the tilde character. And in Linux, tilde means your home directory. And in this case, it's home/Jamie Cones. So you can see how our present working directory is home/Jamie Cones projects intro to AI, shortened to tilde projects intro to AI. Um, PWD is really important as you start to navigate um, around a Linux environment because it's very helpful, especially if you don't have this in your prompt, to find out what directory you're currently working in so you know how to navigate. The next one that we're going to cover is CD. It stands for change directory. And in fact, CD on Windows, Mac, and Linux means the same thing across all three. Um, so we can see that my present working directory, I'm in home projects intro to AI. If I want to, I can move up a directory. And you might do this a lot. And there are shortcuts. Um, I can do it the long way. I'm going to use the shortcut for home though, right? So that's my home directory and projects. And now you can see my prompt change. And if I enter PWD again, we can see I moved from intro to AI up to projects. Um, and then if I want to move back to projects, I would say CD. And from here, I don't have to do anything. Or I'm sorry, I want to move to intro to AI again. I don't have to do the full thing. I can just type intro to AI, and it's going to move me back into that folder. In Linux, there are two shortcuts for directory navigation. The first one for changing directories, CD, doesn't make a lot of sense. It's a single period. So if you do CD single period, well, it's going to change directory to the directory you're already in. But hopefully you can see at this point, when you're dealing with the command line, it might be useful to say, I want to be in, or I want to do something with a file in this directory. I want to move from this directory to an extension of it. So I can say cd dot, and then I'll say folder. Oops. Sorry, it's example one. So now I moved into the next directory down from intro to AI to example one. The other shortcut is two dots, which means move up one directory. So if I do cd dot dot, I've moved back up one directory into intro to AI. So I'm going to dig deep here. I'm going to go cd, and I'm going to use the one dot to say example one, folder, oops, two, and that's going to move me down two directories. So now I'm down in this folder here, and you can see the path here. I move up one. Now I'm in example one again, and I'm back to where I started. So the cd command, along with the dot and dot dot, can help you get all over your files in Linux. The last command in Linux that we're going to cover for today is ls. ls is just a shortened version of list. And from my intro to AI file, I can say ls, and it's going to show me in short form what's in this directory, this folder. And you can see it's the same as up here. If I collapse everything down, you can see it said example app. Well, it's in a different order. It's going to say example, readme, app, index, style, and test. Which is okay if you just want to check that the files are there, but it's usually a little bit more informative if you get some more information. Um, and again, it's covered here. There are options that you can add. You can do a -L for long format, -A for all, including hidden files, H for human readable. So it's used in conjunction with the -L. Let me go ahead and show -L. Gives in a completely different format, right? Rather than just this short list of the actual files, it's going to show us more information about the files. And the long format breaks down like this. This is the permissions information. The first character is is really the most important. It indicates whether it's a directory or a plain file. So D indicates it's a directory, dash means it's a plain file. Our prompt here is helping us with some color coding by highlighting example one, which is a directory, in blue, The others are just the plain text. These permissions do mean other things. We'll cover that later. Ignore this number altogether. It's almost completely useless. The next two should be your username twice. Linux does permissions in a very specific way, and this carries over into Windows and Mac as well. But this says the owner is your username, but there's also a group with your username. So what it's saying here is it's owned by you in your group. This is the file size. This is where the human readable might come in. And this is the date that it was last modified. And then, of course, the name. Um, so now if I do ls-lh, we want the human readable, which it didn't really change much because human readable affects the output of the file size. If something here was megabytes, instead of showing a very long number like 108,00132, it would say 10 megabytes. The other one is we've got a shortcut for some of these, which is LL. LL is the same as ls-l. And so just for real quick, because most people in Linux find that this output is more informative than ls overall. Oh, you can't see when I added the H. It says total 4K rather than just 4. So those are the basic commands that we have in our terminal. One command that's not necessarily basic, but you might be asked if you're having problems with any of your files, is the tree command. And what tree is going to do is it's going to build a more visual representation in the command line of your current directory. So you can see again, it matches this. We have example one, folder two, test file one, and then under example, test file two, and our other files. This can help instructors figure out what might be happening with your files if something is going wrong, if you're having troubles. So an instructor might ask you to run tree and copy and paste that to them. And you would run tree, copy and paste that. Oops. Should be Control C. One thing to note is down here in the terminal, it works a little bit different than Windows or Mac. If you highlight something and then right click, that automatically copies that. If then you click again, it auto pastes it. This is gobbledygook to Linux, so it's going to complain if I hit enter. But that's a real quick way. You can say copy this, click right, click twice, and it pastes it. So those are our basic Linux commands. Yep. Shanika's saying ls-al, and I do. A lot of times that LL, because LL is something that is common, but it has to be set up, and it's set up by default in all of our workspaces. But in a lot of places, you'll go into a Linux system and LL will not be defined and it'll complain at you. And so ls-al is what I resort to. Again, that's showing all. And you can see the difference. Again, LL is a shortcut for ls-l. So I'm going to type that here under the ls-al and look at the difference. The only difference really is that the shortcuts for dot current directory and dot dot one directory up are shown because in Linux, most of the time, a dot at the beginning of a folder or file name means it's hidden. So AL for showing long and all is showing the hidden files, whereas ls-l does not show the hidden files. Just checking in. Hopefully you've all been able to poke around in that and experiment with some of those. Again, don't worry about breaking anything. The real advantage of our workspaces is that they are very hard to break, and even if you do, you can always just create a new one. There's no limit on that. So if you were doing no limit on that, but for instance, it'll always log you back into your files. So if you create another let me go back here, another Gotta go up here. If you create another student web server for the intro project, your files will be the same. So all of this will be exactly the same. Um, I'm saying you can't break the code in the terminal. Um, so basic terminal stuff, we're good there. Um, I added the example one file, so we're going to go back and clean up some of my tabs. And we've opened index.html. Now we're going to talk about web development basics. And so again, when we started up this workspace, it was called a web server. And it is, in fact, a little miniature web server running in our cloud system. Web servers serve web pages, and web pages are, at least at this level, written in three different code formats. That is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And for these first few lessons, we're actually going to be working exclusively in these three code languages. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. I don't think anyone really needs to know that anymore. It's just HTML pretty much all around. But that is the basic language that all web applications and websites use. It's the kind of the foundation piece of all web apps. It has a specification. Again, it's called a markup language because it uses things called tags to mark up what would otherwise just be plain text. So I'm going to go ahead and test that text. We're going to compare these. So I could write a text file like this, and let me open that up. And through the web server, it looks exactly the same. Plain, boring text. But by marking it up in HTML, we add some tags around welcome. And this particular kind of tag is called a heading tag. Great thing is in VS Code is already built in helpers. So you can hover over a tag and get information about what that is. But for now, just our heading tag means this is important. And a paragraph tags means that this is actually just a paragraph. So we'll go back and look at how that's rendered. You can see now welcome is nice, big, and bold, and our paragraph is like this. We add another paragraph, and I'm not going to ask you to know what paragraph tags mean at this point, but we're just going to add another one. If I add that to it, and I refresh, we can see how that is rendered by the browser as a second kind of paragraph. So there are lots and lots of tags. Um, and as we get into this, we'll kind of explain what some of the tags are. We'll also be using the AI to help us to write some tags and then decipher what that means. But first, we need to kind of understand the HTML format first. So HTML files always start with this doc type. There are some variations to it, but the current standard is to say it's a HTML document. And so that's always just there. It might change in the future, but for now, the standard is just that. You don't have to worry much about it. The next thing to understand is that from that point on, everything in the HTML file is nested, um, which I don't like how it always does that. And kind of the default is HTML is our base tag. So the entire document is wrapped in this HTML tag. And tags are formulated by doing a less than symbol, the tag name, and then a greater than symbol. Now there's some other things that can go in there, and we'll see that here just a second. But that's the basic formula for a tag, and we can see HTML opens and closes it. And VS Code is going to draw this line between it. So when your cursor's on that line, it's going to show you the start and end tag. The next thing that we look at is there's a head tag, and that's nested, you can see, by indentation inside of HTML. And head indicates to the web browser some important information about this web page. This tag is a meta tag, and we've got two of them, and they have different attributes. So anything other than the tag name inside of the brackets is called an attribute. And so this attribute is char set. If you wanted to say it out loud, is character set. And that simply tells the browser which encoding, which kind of characters. Is it plain text with letters and numbers only, or does it have international characters like the tilde for a lot of Spanish language words, accents in other languages, and I think UTF-8 even includes emoji. So what we're saying is here, the text in this file could be anything within the UTF-8 standard. We don't really need to worry too much about what that standard is right now, but it's the only attribute. You'll also notice that the closing tag here is a little bit different. Um, we'll see in just a minute that like the title tag here has an opening and closing tag, and then everything in between is the title. This meta tag doesn't have anything kind of in it. So it's a shortcut for open and close all in one. You can see the next meta tag adds some other stuff. So this attribute is called name and the content, and we're not even going to try to explain what that means right now. It's kind of default to that. Um, if we need to change that, we'll talk about that later. But I wanted to get to the title tag, which the title tag is the first one that has what's called a text node. So again, we open it with the title and we close it with the / title. And everything in between is called a text node. And that's what the title of our page should be. You can see that right here. I'm going to get rid of the parentheses and I'll come over here and refresh. And you can see the title changed. The title is not shown in the web page itself. Um, and then we have a link. There are links typically indicate like the forward or next navigation, but most often are used to indicate where the CSS style should be. So link is the tag, and the rel or relative or relation, sorry, attribute indicates that's a style sheet. And href gets used in a couple places in HTML. That always means a HTML reference. So in this case, it's saying the HTML reference is style.css, and we can see that style is in the same directory as our index.html file. So it's just simply linked as the file name. And we'll show how that activates in just a moment. That closes out our head segment, and the head section of HTML is kind of information for the browser setting up how it should show and present to your web page. The next and super important part is the body tag. So everything in your web page is going to be enclosed in the body tag, and we've got our H1 heading. Headings come in 6 different flavors from H1 to H6, going from most important to least important heading, and paragraphs. And then we close with another body tag and close the HTML document. So that's our index.html, and it produces this output. I'm going to go back to this href to the style page. Our style file is over here. Style is written in CSS. It's called a cascading style sheet, and CSS defines rules for how the browser should display things. So the default rule here is for the body tag, and this is how this is organized without anything else, just a word. That means it's a rule for a tag. We see our body tag here, and the rule is saying it should use, this is really poor formatting on my part, sorry. It's much easier to read this way. Is the body tag is going to use the font family or which font, and it's just specifying some generic ones. System UI, comma, sans serif means if system UI is installed, use that. Otherwise, use whatever the standard system font is that doesn't have serifs. And serifs are the little wings and feet on letters. Generally, sans serif are better to read on screens rather than print. And we add a general padding for to REM. We'll explain that later. I'm gonna go ahead and add a new rule that our H1, because we have an H1 tag, we're gonna say the text color of that should be blue. You can use words or other ways to define colors, but we're gonna start with words. And I can't think of anything else, so we're gonna go with blue just for now. So now I added my H1 rule, which is only going to affect H1 tags. And I come over and reload. That's my fault. For now, you have to, I think you can control click reload. I will fix our containers so that for future sessions, we won't have to do that. But when I changed the CSS, it said to make the H1 tag blue, and sure enough, when it renders, we see that again. So that's kind of the relationship of CSS, which again is linked here to the HTML file. So we covered HTML and CSS just in our simple example. We'll do more on that later. We'll talk about how JavaScript gets rolled into HTML as well in our next session, but we have the files set up for all three. So by default, you have your index.html, style.css, and app.js. The README file is just that. We'll note that .md stands for Markdown. Markdown is another kind of markup language. Remember, HTML is hypertext markup. Markdown is just a simplified version or a simple way of basically creating HTML is what it does. Um, which may be confusing, but the only thing here is that these README files often contain information about whatever project you're working on. Especially if you're working on a project that's already been started, you always want to check the README file for information about what's included. In this case, it just simply says that you're going to get started using AI to produce HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So 15 minutes left. We're gonna stop with the actual demonstration there. And again, go back to our books. And again, I think that's, yeah, basic Linux commands is all we covered here. Um, until our next session, next Saturday, play around with the workspace, create files, delete files, learn to open your terminal and see, even I must type it all the time. Explore it. One thing to note is that if you go all the way up, I don't know if you can go higher than that. Yeah, you can. But if you go up to home, you can actually see some of the file system stuff. I don't know that any of it would make sense, but again, I don't think you can break anything here. And if you do break the workspace, we can always spin up a new workspace, no problem. You can as well. So if you poke around in here and type something that somehow breaks the workspace, you can just go back to your workspaces and create a new one. Yeah, Markdown is super important in terms of AI now. AI not only understands Markdown as a way of giving it instructions, so if you were giving it a whole lot of instruction all at once, putting it in Markdown helps it organize that, but it also saves Markdown. And actually, as you're using AI, it'll print stuff out on the screen. And I don't have a good example of that. But uh, oh, that's right. I'm in a student workspace. I gotta do it from. We'll cover connecting to your AI later. And it wants to do an update. Well, that's just a pain. So So, and it works in the web versions of them as well. I'm going to go to ChatGPT, and as ChatGPT answers my question, it's actually writing Markdown. So this is rendered Markdown. It's not the actual Markdown, but pretty much the language of generational AIs. Oh, I want to skip for now. Um, is Markdown. So we might do a segment of a lesson covering exactly how Markdown works. Um, but yeah, it's super important when you're working with AIs to at least have an understanding of what Markdown is. Um, so then for now, open up to questions. For me, well, I learn things all the time. Um, what did I say? And I should be making notes as I'm doing this. What did I say needs to be fixed for next time? Oh, right. So I don't know if you consider it learning. Headings, that's a good one, and it's a super important one. It will cover also kind of what headings actually mean. For me, I learned that when I set up the student web browser container, I didn't set it to what's called well, I set it up with the defaults, which caches things, which is why this didn't turn blue right away. And so I learned that I need to go back and set it to not cache so that when you change something and refresh, it instantly shows the change. And I have to write that down now because I got to remember to do that next time. Um, so super important as soon as you can. And again, I'm going to go back up, scroll to the top. Well, super important first is to make sure you get signed up on class.hsccatlanta.com because this is where all of the relevant information throughout our kind of our class season here is going to be contained. And once you've done that, then go to the Coding with AI course. And under requirements, here's the link to the GitHub education. Um, and sorry, I thought I had that outlined somewhere else. Yep, that's also here in the class information. So there's two places to find it. This is a little bit more detailed with links to both signing up for GitHub and then the information on education here. I am working feverishly to get us our own AI, so that we don't have to rely upon GitHub granting access to the education program. Um, as soon as I can get that available, then we won't have to worry about this. But I don't want to delay pending that. I got it almost working this week, and then it blew up my computer. Literally had to shut down and restart in help mode before I could get my computer up for session today. So hopefully a better solution will come very shortly. Because again, our plan is to use the AI from as early as we can to start writing even just basic HTML and use that to analyze the output and even be able to go in and say, um, you know, what does this mean? And you can do that in VS Code. You can come in here and say, explain the H1 tag, or explain this even, because if you highlight it, it tells you that's what you want to know about. Um, and so using the AI that way to help us accelerate our learning. Again, and we'll know by next week's session kind of more about that. But in the meantime, make sure you go through, get your GitHub account because you will need GitHub no matter what. 13 and older is the limit on that, so it should all be good. After that, then apply for your GitHub education using this link. And then also in the meantime, we don't have assignments really in the early stages here, but the Coder app is available to you round the clock anytime you want. You can go in and start up your workspace. I'm going to go actually quick show that your workspaces will automatically shut down after 24 hours of non-use, or you can manually say stop. So when you come in, that workspaces screen, because you've created one already, will show the workspace that you've already created in this session. You can come in and you might just have to click the start button, or you can click here and start. But otherwise, anytime you want, you can come back in, explore your workspace, work with the HTML file, or the CSS or any of them, use your terminal to get used to navigating up and down. Eventually, when we start talking about competition stuff, you'll be in the terminal a lot. So those terminal navigation skills are super important. Get used to them. As a full stack developer, I use them all the time, but I also have junior developers on my team that never really learned them. And we're starting to find that that's causing problems. Uh, a lot of times there are what are called GUIs, just like I was talking about with the Windows Explorer. This is a GUI. There are GUIs for other things. And a lot of the junior developers I worked with or I'm working with have always relied upon the GUI to do certain things, and they're finding now that they were missing information. So I always advise to use the command line first so you know what's going on. I will tell you, every GUI in computers, whether it's Explorer or Widget, they are all just running command lines underneath, right? They all use command lines themselves. So if you know what the command line is, you're ahead of the game already. So those are kind of your assignments until next session. Use your workspace, explore, use the command terminal, explore that, and sign up for GitHub and GitHub education. Anybody else have questions?
Is there a way to like remove my father's email from the account and put my own personal one?
Yes. Anthony, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to set you up a different login. Um, I think about how to do that. I will sort it out this evening and send an email. Let me make sure I have. Did you send me your personal email?
I can do that right now.
Yeah, send me that. Um, and then I will reply to that email. Because I think what I might do is save your username. So I'll recreate your account with your personal email. And that may or may not have a new password. But I actually have a nephew's soccer game, and then I'm taking him to a soccer game. So it will be this evening when I email you back. All right. Got it. Again, expect an email from jamiecones@gmail.com later, uh, by end of day, or evening. I don't know. Yeah, end of day. But this evening when I get back, it'll probably be 7:30 before I get back from soccer. Let's see. I don't think I missed anything.
Hopefully we get a better result today.
Ugh. No, Philadelphia Union. I don't think we will be.
I say hopefully.
It's gonna hurt. Um,
Jamie, if
but
you still have a minute, I can share my screen. I was trying to pull up I emailed you the error too, but just since we're here, it might be helpful for anyone that reviews the recording later. Um, so I guess yeah, the instructor workspace. Let me move some stuff. So I saw this down here, like this instructor.code workspace no file or directory exists. So I don't know if that's what's causing it not to start up. I guess the password, I was missing the password, so I got past that error. But yeah, I'm not sure.
yeah, that's exactly what's causing the issue. Um, thanks. Yeah. And yeah, so in the development of these workspaces, I have created and destroyed so many containers that sometimes what happens is settings get written to my code space that then persist into the next container, and this is a permissions issue. So it tries to create a workspace file for code server, VS Code, before you or as it provisions your workspace, and obviously it was not able to write that.
Cool. Yeah, just wanted to show it. It might be helpful for anyone that's watching this later. So, all
Yeah,
right,
that's totally the problem with the instructor workspace. So I'll get that fixed tonight too.
sounds good. I guess Jamie, William, Notorious, I guess Jonas as well. Any like last, um, I guess notes for today?
I don't have any. We'll be back at it next Saturday.
Other than when I emailed Jonas last week, I didn't realize there was an H in your name. So and so somewhere Jonas without an H Baylor is getting lots of emails from somebody he
Ooh.
doesn't know because I sent you like links to some of my Meshtastic designs and stuff. Uh, I'll resend those with the correct email address.
Tacos today, Jamie?
No
It's Pi Day.
tacos.
It's Pi Day. It should be
It's Pi
pizza
Day.
and
Oh,
other circular
oh,
things.
it is Pi Day. All right. I forgot. I had to look down at my
I'm at actually on the way home from the match, stop and pick up some pie. That sounds good.
okay.
Nice. Where would you go for pie? I guess I'll stop recording.
I don't know. McDonald's now